Hey, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me on Friday the 13th. Remember, there's no trading on Monday due to the Martin Luther King holiday. But to talk about the market, talk about some events that are going on that can impact the market, talk about what I see going forward into next week. Because remember, 0 days to expiration options, pretty dangerous. If you want to make a lot of play, go ahead, but understand what your entry is, what your strategy is, and make sure it can execute. All right, with that said, what do we have? Let's talk about the updates. DEX yesterday was green, which makes it 2 days in a row. The day leading into CPI was extremely strong on the DEX. Yesterday, a little lighter or a little weaker. There's a ton of bearish divergence going on. So something I noticed going into yesterday were calls were way outnumbering puts. However, that was just for expiration for today. If you go out another week, the number of puts severely or intensely increase. So going through to the end of next week, I'm still a little bearish. I'm going to talk about the SPY levels so we can see where support or resistance is. There's still a ton of no man's land, which means the dark pool levels are really small, implying we could jump from 399 and we can go all the way back to like 390 flat. I will talk about that in a minute. So again, puts increased. We could talk about specific stocks. I mean, I have some stocks open right now. Delta Airlines, United, when it was under $40, literally a week ago, I said it was a good buy. Then it went to $51 and change. So the fact that United Airlines is off, what, a couple percent this morning? I got to find it first. There we go. It's off 3.2% this morning. It's at 51.30. It was under $40. If you look at the 5-day chart, you're talking about a 22% move. So there are other stocks, and I'm going to mention those stocks right now, what I'm watching this morning. Delta is off 5.43% this morning. So here's the question. Are airlines going to suffer a pullback? What would I watch? I would watch Boeing, Delta, United. I don't pay attention to Love. I don't really pay attention to American Airlines. They're not run so well. Next, you've got some banking stocks. Banking stocks, JP Morgan beat, but what do? You buy the rumor. The rumor was all these banking stocks were going to excel this week. JP Morgan was a little slightly red yesterday. This morning, it's down 3%. Wells Fargo underperformed big time. And if I was going to short a banking stock, it would be Wells Fargo right now. Wells Fargo is down 3.92% pre-market. Then we get to the SPXS, which is basically shorting the market 3 times bear on the SPY. That was one of my trades from yesterday. I think I got in around $19.86. I was looking to sell at $20.25. This morning, it is currently up, and that's where I did sell yesterday, but it's currently up to $20.49, spiking pre-market. So what does that mean? It means the SPY is going down significantly. We could look at the UVXY. It's up 1.52%. That was one of my trades as well yesterday. I was in $6 calls. I bought them as the market opened for $7. They went down to $4 was the minimum. So I was guessing 7 would be the minimum. 4 was the minimum. I sold them for 11 to 13. Okay, so on average, I made about, I think, 58%. Here's the catch. Say I took an opposite position. The opposite position would be puts at the $6 range. They went as low as $13. They went as high as 30-something dollars. You're talking about a 180% return there. So again, you could have played that ETF either direction. I don't like to play it that much. Okay, so let's look at Apple. Apple, 132 pre-market. Where's support for Apple at 130? So potentially Apple could go down another 1.5% today. If that were going to happen, you'd have to double where the SPY is at this morning. So the fact that the SPY is sitting at this morning 393, it's down 3.5 points. You could say to yourself, okay, another 3.5 points would put the SPY at 390, which is a great lead into SPY levels. So we look at the dark pool levels, and there wasn't much dark pool activity. I'm going to talk about Tesla soon. But bull case scenario is they buy the dip. There's a ghost zone or a omission of SPY demand from 394 all the way up to 399. So your extreme bull case scenario is SPY rebounds from where we are right now, another 3% from where we are right now, and you close the day at 402. That would be your extreme bull case scenario. Those people that have been bullish, I would still ride that bull train if you were bullish. If you missed the bull train, then you're like me on the sidelines saying, I don't believe this bullshit. If the market wants to push up yesterday and I see a ton of bearish divergence, I'm going to be on the sidelines. I'm going to look to enter some negative positions on the SPY or calls on the SPX like I did yesterday. Bear case scenario. Okay. So we'll talk about the ranges, but bear case scenario, I'm seeing the SPY could go down to 390 before it finds support. 390, which when we closed at 397 was something pretty significant. Now that we're opening or we're right around 393, it is a little less significant, my prediction. But again, I make these charts up the day before and I say where we can go. So let me just show you where 390 is. 390 is right about here in this range. So we'd go back about a couple of weeks, December 22nd. Again, it would make sense. You could see this run up. Volume's not so strong on the SPY. But again, okay, so bull case scenario, extreme bull, 402.50. Do I think we're seeing that today? No. Do I think we could battle 399 again? Sure. If they buying the dip at open and we race up to 399, that's when I would get into my put contracts. Bear case scenario, we're currently at 393 and change on the SPY. Bear case scenario is next level down of support, which is a dark pool level that's getting larger, is $390.17. Remember, we can go plus or minus 20 cents or so. So I would say 390, I would be looking for major support on the SPY. If 390 breaks to the downside and we see right now the markets are like stepping down a little, then you're looking at 387.80. Again, wouldn't surprise me. I've been a bear for a while. I mentioned United Airlines, Carnival. I mentioned some of the banking stocks. I mentioned Boeing can continue to go up. Well, they went up over the past week and they went up too much. And in fact, as they were going up, I'm like, great time to enter into United, great time to enter into Delta. And then I'm thinking to myself, I would be chasing, let it come back down, but it didn't come back down. Every time I looked, it was a step higher. And I'm like, okay, I was surprised when United broke $50 and there should have been some resistance up there. And then we went to 51. We looked like we were going to 52. I mentioned my UVXY trade. I mentioned my SPXS trade, which I traded twice. Interesting fact, as there's a bunch of goings on with the 2-year, the 10-year, the US dollar, and gold keeps going up, there is an outflow on gold. People are selling gold as it keeps going higher. So again, I'm expecting a reversal there. Energy, super strong. The XLE past $90. Again, if we are heading to recession and there is going to be less demand, energy should come back down. So again, yesterday kind of surprised me. It was lighter volume. They kept pushing every single stock higher. And again, I was a non-believer. I thought we were actually going to pull back. If you look at the last two SPY charts after we saw CPI, right? They spiked into CPI. We had excellent CPI days. And then if you look at the following week in transit, I guess, week, what happened to the SPY, you're talking about a 6% decrease. So if we went 6% off, let's just say 400, you'd be back in the 376 range. So understand, we're pushing 200-day moving averages. It wouldn't surprise me if we rejected and started heading back down. If we were going to head back down, what would be a fair number for me to look for? I'd be looking for 380 on the SPY. What would be a good time frame? I would say maybe like 9 days of trading. Again, understand it's going against momentum. So in order for me to enter a trade with that strategy, thinking the SPY could potentially go down to 380, 379, 382 in a week or 10 days, I'm going to go out a month on my options. I'm going to play SPY puts. I'm going to go out of the money so that they're a little cheaper. And then again, I'm not going to hold through fruition. I'm not going to ride the elevator. When we get a massive spike down, that would be my exit strategy. When we go up later in that day, I would look to re-enter the same options. Okay, so we talked about gold. Oh, let's talk about Tesla, because this is crazy, crazy interesting. And again, if you have any questions, please ask them on the side. If you want to join the Discord and get updates during the day and look at big flows in the algo room, you're more than welcome to join our Discord. There should be a link below. Who knows, though? With that said, Tesla, okay? So Tesla just started slashing prices in the U.S. Let me just see if I have the actually picture of that. I can tell you specifically what's going on. Okay, Model 3, 6%, Model 3P, 14%, Model Y, 20%, Model YP, minus 23%, Model S, minus 9.5%, Model S Plaid, minus 15.4%, Model X, 9.1%, Model X Plaid, almost 14% slashed. Understand, here's the catch, all right? Yesterday, there was a massive size dark pull order on Tesla, and Tesla's down this morning, I believe 5% pre-market. Calls were extremely strong on Tesla. So that's the conundrum right there. People were buying the calls, right? And then there was a massive dark pool order. We don't know if it was a buy or sell order. Somebody either loaded the boat yesterday on Tesla, or they totally just shed all their shares. They're like, thank you so much. I took the run from 108 all the way up to 124. I'm out of Tesla. Thank you. I mean, that's a massive run. We could talk about the massive run of Disney or Warner Brothers Discovery, which is up like 20% this year. Netflix up 10% this year. Disney up 9% this year. Yeah, I liked all those companies, but you have to understand, we're only in January 13th. And with the holidays, we've only been trading what? Like 10 trading days, maybe 9 trading days, and the company is up over 20%. That's a little ridiculous. Again, the movements yesterday were a little ridiculous, and that's why I have certain stocks on my watch list. Let me continue to go down on my watch list. Again, I have Starbucks there. Starbucks has crazy support at 105. I'm only holding a few contracts. I exited out yesterday at 105.08 before it spiked back up to like 106 and change. Disney, which pushed 100 and yesterday, is back down to 98.90. Again, Disney had a ridiculous run. There should be some consolidation. Microsoft, which was at 226, finished yesterday at 238. Where could it consolidate to? Well, right now it's 237 pre-market, down like 0.6%. Technically, if Apple goes down to 130, Microsoft could go back to 231. So those are some interesting trades I'm looking at. If I'm going to be a bear today, right now, 2 trades I'm looking for is Apple to potentially go down to 130. I think it's 132 or 133 pre-market. And Microsoft, which has support around 231, is sitting at 237 pre-market. So again, I'm going to look for any type of buying opportunities this morning, meaning any type of, oh, the market, the futures are down, we're going to buy up that dip. And then you see it open, boom, we pop right back up to 395, 395.50. As soon as I see the first level of rejection, I'll be looking at the 1-minute chart. Okay, not entering SPY puts or anything like that. I'm going to look straight to Apple and straight to Microsoft, knowing my target on Microsoft in a bad day, 231. Apple going to find support back at 130. But when I ride it down from 133 to 130, that's a hero play right there. So that's what I'm looking for as those 2 stocks. Those are more tech related. I've got Disney, which had a massive run. I'm watching McDonald's because there's been some outflow of McDonald's. So I actually think McDonald's in the next 2 weeks could go down. Boeing, Macy's. I mentioned Macy's. Macy's went from $22 down to $20 off a report that their fourth quarter was going to suck. Okay, so that makes sense. They dropped 10%. What happened 2.5 days later? They made up 10% plus another 3%. So they dropped 10%, then ran 13%. So again, I get it. Some people want to be in Macy's long term, but they just came out and said our fourth quarter numbers, our holiday numbers, are going to suck ass, are going to stink. So why is there the urge or the urgency to get right back into Macy's? Again, doesn't make sense to me. I'm seeing the same thing in some of these chip and semiconductor stocks. Again, AMD has been rolling hard since 62, which was 5 trading days ago. We closed at $71 yesterday. Fair pullback, 65. A fair pullback would be about 8%. So yeah, I mean, if I'm talking about AMD possibly pulling back, let's even cut it in half. Let's see, 4%. Apple pulling back 2%. Microsoft pulling back what? 2.5%. Yes, I'm expecting a reddish day. The SPY isn't really crashing. You have to understand volume was extremely light yesterday. So we're just coming back and we're pre-market. And if you look at the volume pre-market versus other things. But yeah, I mean, you have to look at the input. The input is, well, Tesla just lowered pricing. So the Tesla's off 5% pre-market. Banks are getting hurt, right? So you have Wells Fargo, which was down 4%, I spoke about, is now down 4.5%. JP Morgan, which came out with decent earnings, down 2.5%. Delta Airlines, which ran up with the other airlines in the past couple of days, down 5.31% pre-market. So, I mean, does it surprise me that the SPY, and it's not crashing, it's down to the next support level. Again, we moved yesterday off light volume. So 393, for anybody that missed it, I'm just going to go over the SPY levels again, okay? We'll start on the shallow end, meaning the bear side, okay? You should see support at 387.80. 387.80. Again, if it's an ugly day in the market and you're looking for support at different levels, 387.80. Next level of support, 390.17. Okay, so we're still at 393 pre-market. Understand, if we break that 393 and the day starts out where we get a little pump and then a complete dump, you're going to look for support at 390 plus or minus 20 cents. Okay, on the SPY. That could tell you, okay, the market's going to turn. It's going to go back up. I'll get into calls. Or you see it break down and you go, okay, well, I'm not getting into calls yet because I know the next level down is 387.80, which Matt told me this morning. All right, so 390. Next level up, very small levels of dark pool activity, 394, just over 394. So the fact that we're sitting at, 393.55, you want to make sure that if the SPY does get bought up at open, I would look for it to reject 394 plus or minus 20 cents. So 394.20, something like that. You want to see the volume increase at that level. Just because it rejects, if the volume is extremely small, that doesn't really tell you it's a true rejection. Again, yesterday, anytime they tried to sell in the market, it was off very light volume and it would just push higher. So whoever was buying the market, the big money yesterday, break 394. The next level up, which we're in between right now, even at the close, is 399. So you've heard the term ghost zone, or I call it no man's land. No man's land on the SPY is from 394 to 399, meaning light volume could push the market up to 399, drop it to 394, light volume. So that's about it. Let me see if we have any other questions today. Please hit the like button. Everything YouTube does is algorithms. Share this if you like it. What do I think about Starbucks still holding puts, expiration next week? Okay, so the great thing about the Starbucks is there's fighting on both sides, meaning I know there are people, two firms at least, shorting this stock. I know because Jim Cramer is like, yeah, Starbucks is the best, that people are supporting this stock. Crazy support level at 105. And if you didn't have the support of Jim Cramer and his fans, and it makes sense, Starbucks would rather already be at 101. Even with this strong market week, I saw multiple times they were trying to sell Starbucks, and I'm like, okay, here it comes. It's coming back down, 101, 102. And then all of a sudden, the market stabilized, and there were some initial big block buys there. What do we got here? Does retail have an ETF? Yes, it does. Do I know what it is off the top of my head? I do not. I think XLE is energy. XLF is finances. XLI is industrials. So retail might be XLR. I don't know. Someone could maybe help her out. Let's have a fantastic day of trading. No more questions. Please, anybody that's curious, join me on Discord. It's soc-platform.com. There's some good shit going on. Romeo's doing a couple of live streams this week. Remember, as far as Friday goes, and you want to enter a lottery trade, it's not about just getting your money in like the roulette wheel is spinning. You're like red or black, red or black. No, you come up with a strategy. You say to yourself, okay, financials, they're off. Let me check out the other financials and see if they're going to be off. Who should fall further? JP Morgan had a decent report. So if the financials go down and they double where they are right now, again, I suggested maybe Wells Fargo could drop a little harder because their report really sucked. And again, they used to do a ton of mortgages and they're kind of flipping or rotating their business. Other people might look at energy today. I keep my eye on the US dollar. All right. Well, that's about it. I'll share more with Discord about what specifics I'm looking at. Thank you for joining me. Douglas, Coolchick, J-Rock, K-Dub, Dwayne, man, you guys are awesome. I see you every morning. Please tell your friends. Everything's done through word of mouth, and I'll see you guys a little later. Trade safe. It's about having a winning trade or a winning strategy. Yesterday, I made 3 trades, all green trades. I got anxious, and I wanted to trade more trades, but I did not because I reflect back, and I remember one of these days, Carlos was helping me set up the studio, and I had made like $17,000, and then I entered into Mara or Riot options, and I made another $12,000, and I was crushing it, and we started having a good time and talking about it, and the next thing I noticed, those Riot options, which were up 17,000, were down 7,000, and my day went from being up 17,000 down to like 5,000, and I kept trading and kept trading and trading with emotion, and I went red that day. It was like over a year ago, but the story or the moral of the story behind it or the lesson is just don't overtrade. Look for a couple of good entries. You've got one strategy. Remember the lesson, follow one stock or one ETF, know everything about it. Well, if you trade that one stock or one ETF and you're trading options and you call the bottom and you get out what you think is the top, even though it goes higher, but you secure 40%, boom, there's a good trade for the day. That's it. It's small piles turn into big piles. The more risk you put yourself in, the more trouble you could find yourself. All right, everybody, have a great day. Talk to you guys later.